Okay, interval session. Today I'm gonna do exactly the same training session as I did 7 days ago. 20 times 2 minutes, up Doi Satep, Chiang Mai in the north of Thailand. Last week I struggled, and I struggled partly because you kind of acclimatize into a new humidity, a new temperature, but that's a bit of an excuse because I'm used to hot countries. What I maybe wasn't used to is the different gradients and sort of pushing on different gradients because it's been 6 months since I ran on this specific mountain. So what I'm going to try to do today is be more consistent with the effort, be more consistent with the pacing, and get it right from the first, second, third rep, and hopefully execute the entire session, 20 times 2 minutes. It's a lot of volume to be on the limit. And what I wanted to do last week was be in zone 3, which for me is 150 to 165 beats. Be in zone 3 for the entire session to build back this skill before really pushing. What I found during the session, and this is great to be this self-aware, but will find you out the mountain because there's nowhere to hide. What I found is immediately, for quite a low pace, already my effort is going into zone 4, and even for a few seconds into zone 5, which means I'm putting too much effort in for that session. But when you kind of go back to the drawing board and think, okay, what went right and what went wrong with that session, and it's definitely a trend upwards in heart rate, so it's not a load that I could handle for a long time, then I could execute that session 20 times 2 minutes in zone 4, and maybe that's a better session for me right now. So that's what we're going to work on today. We're going to work on getting into the top of zone 3, into zone 4, and being comfortable in zone 4. They're only 2-minute reps, and I've got 60 seconds rest in between. So I'm using the Pegasus Plus, which are very quickly becoming my favorite shoe, and I know I'm going to be using this shoe a lot in 2025. I like the way, and you can see the Pegasus next to them, I like the way that they just feel a bit more racier. And it's, especially if you're going from the Pegasus to the Vaporfly, it's quite a big jump, whereas these are a nice mid-ground, and I loved these back in 2018, 2019. All-in Run Club, singlet is awesome and super lightweight. Taking it serious this week. I know how I felt at the end of last session last week, and so I'm taking it extra serious, which is good. It focuses you. And also, all-in sunglasses. Super great for looking cool and running fast and being also in the zone. I used to laugh at people for wearing sunglasses because it feels a little bit arrogant, and also a little, I don't know, it's kind of fashion thing, isn't it? But in actual fact, it really helps you focus on the task in hand. Just setting the watch, 20 times 2 minutes, 60 seconds rest in between, and we're off. And so there's just more intent this week. I know what it feels like because it's only been 7 days since I've done it. I'm setting off at the pace that I want to hit. And what I'm thinking about, based on me covering 9.3 kilometers, so each one of those 2 minutes, about 465 meters, I'm just trying to get to 500 meters in the 2 minutes. And I'm really not worried if I'm going into zone 4 and spending the majority of my time in zone 4. It's more about hitting the session. First one. And I remember this. But also not fast enough. As shock to the system.
10 seconds 10 วิออกไปก่อนเลย
Cut that last bit out. And yeah, the first rep, second rep, they shouldn't be a shock to the system after you've warmed up properly. But when you're going for a new target and you're trying to run those extra meters every rep, so 4 minutes per kilometer pace, it is tough, especially when it's hot and it's above 30 degrees here.
นี่แหละนี่แหละนี่แหละนี่แหละสวย
That first rep was an average of 6%. The second rep is more like 6.6%. So, of course, it's the mountains, so it's not although it's an average gradient of 6.5% throughout, you've got some tight corners, steep corners, and then you've got some flatter bits, and towards the end, heart rate is still eventually coming down below 150. We really want that to be 130, which tells you exactly how fit I am right now with just 10 seconds to go. Did we? And towards the end, you even get some downhill, but just showing you the heart rate there, it's not coming down below what it usually would be, going up to 165, 170, 175, and then coming down to 140, 130, and that's when I know I'm fit, I'm recovering quick. Just not happening on this session, and therefore it makes the session unsustainable long term. Can I fit 20 reps in? That's the question. And that's what I'm thinking about right from this rep 3. I've got to execute, so I'm splitting it up into four times 5 reps essentially, mentally, so that I can, it's manageable chunks. But I'm focused, and that's the fun thing when people ask you, what are you thinking about when you're running? When you're in a session like this, you're thinking about pace, you're thinking about your breathing, you're looking down at your heart rate like I just did, and what's it doing? Am I in the right zone? You're also thinking about your stride length. When you're running up the mountain, if you're overstriding, there's going to be too much on the muscles, and they're going to become fatigued, whereas the short little steps here, putting as much as possible on the heart and lungs. And already in that second rep and this third rep, I'm at 164 beats. So I'm still in zone 3, just about. But this is the last rep that I'm in zone 3 for.
Harvey, dot. Dot.
It's tough when you've done 6 minutes of hard work at this point, but they're only 2 minutes, and so you're looking forward to the recovery because you need it, but you can do another rep because it's only 2 minutes, and that's what I love about this session. 40 minutes of total volume, 20 times 2 minutes, is a lot to be spending in zone 4, and especially when some of that is into zone 5 like it was in this session. But when it's broken up into 2-minute chunks and you've got 60 seconds rest in between, and you've become very efficient at bringing your heart rate down, even if it's not coming down to where I want it to be, it still becomes manageable to hit the next rep, then it's a great training session, and it's going to move you on so much. I definitely build up to this. So if you're thinking of doing 2-minute reps, start with 10, 20 minutes of volume. And if you're really new to speed or hills, start with 10 to 15 minutes of volume. So maybe something like 5 or 8 reps of this.
Harvey, dot. I'll call it 10.
And at this point, mentally, as I'm chopping it up, I'm thinking, as soon as I finish with this rep, I'm 25% of the way done. And I'm thinking each individual rep is 5%. So every time I'm doing 20 of these, and 5% is gone, 10% is gone. And I'm focused on my form. My form's improved over the last 4 years, definitely. I went into a lab with, I think there's 40 different cameras looking at me, and it looked at my form from different angles, and I saw how bad it was, which was great. It was a great opportunity to improve and become much more efficient. And if you see my right arm, and if you notice my right arm working in this, it used to come out a lot more. And stuff like this you can only see if you're head on to a treadmill, to a mirror, sorry, on a treadmill, or if you get somebody to film, or you film your style yourself. You can always improve, which is brilliant. The room for improvement is infinite, and so I'm focused here on, is my elbow close enough to my body on both sides, and is my fist or my thumb and forefinger, are they coming up just to where the All In logo there is, just above sort of nipple height. That's what I'm focused on. And as you can see, as I'm getting tired, it's a little bit different as you're coming uphill, but as I'm getting tired, my right arm is dropping. So I'm noticing this, and it's definitely a room for improvement for next week. This fifth rep is more like 7% or 6.9%.
10 วิ5 วิจอดละ
You don't really notice it, that difference between 6 and 7%. Especially if you've kind of mentally or visioned in your head that you've got to cover 10, 11 kilometers up the mountain, and you've got to get to the top of the mountain. So you're trying to hold that 4-minute pace, which I'm doing consistently here on the reps. So rep 1 was 4:03 pace, rep 2 was 3:59 pace, rep 3, 3:58 pace, rep 4, 4:02 pace, 4:02 pace again for rep 5, and this rep is 3:55. But look how beautiful it is. It's unbelievable, and it blocks you from the sun. It's like a corridor you're running through most of the time, and all of a sudden the sun comes, you're hiding from it. 10 seconds.
10 วิไปเลย
And the lads are great here. They're fun to be around. Bali, and he's got his mate driving their motorbike. I don't know how many places in the world you can actually sort of be able to do this. It's super safe on this mountain. I've had some comments before. You're running on the side, or you're not running on the sidewalk. As you can see, there is no pavement or sidewalk there, and this is the most popular route in the whole of Asia for cyclists. Doisetep. The KOM I think is something like 25 minutes. But it's so popular for sports people, but then it's become popular with cars in more recent years because the temple is popular, and there was some Chinese or Thai soap that was filmed up here, and therefore there's lots of tourists.
10 วิพักเบา 15 วิ
And this is why I'll always advocate 60 seconds rest. You teach your body very, very quickly to recover very well within that 60 seconds. So I'm going from 170, 172 beats during the rep to recovering below 150 beats. And within another few weeks, that'll be below 140 beats during the rest, and then towards 130 beats, which is, it means that I'm getting really fit. But that 60 seconds will also keep you for as long as possible during the session. It'll make the session efficient by you being in that zone 3, zone 4, and even zone 5 for longer, because you're not giving yourself as much time to recover. So you're working on a different energy system, essentially.
ผ่านวิว1วิว10
By this point, rep 9, I'm thinking, okay, 1.5 more reps, and then I'm halfway done, and we're good. But I'm questioning myself, why did I repeat this exact session 20 times 2 minutes? I felt like I failed last week, and I felt like I could do better. And so maybe another type of session would have been to do less reps, do 10 or 15 times, 2 minutes, do them quicker, get into zone 4, zone 5, and work on that, or do longer reps and work more in zone 3. I'm going to do a mixture of the two moving forward. And the reason I'm changing vest here is so that I've got different video, different types of videos, so that I can use this when I'm filming YouTube videos. We're on a budget. But yeah, these vests are great, and I'm looking forward to releasing them on the site. Over the years, it's so strange when companies get this wrong. I think you want something as lightweight as possible that you don't feel as if you're wearing, but at the same time, it's got to be durable, because you don't want to spend $100 on a vest and three races later it's disintegrated, which is a bit like that with a Nike Elite vest. When you get the Elite Team vest, they only last a certain amount of time. But I used to get messages all the time on Facebook and Instagram, can I buy it from you for $500 and stuff like that, the Elite Team vest. But I think a nice middle ground is possible for mere mortals like us. So this rep is 6.4% average, and my heart rate is 172, and it's exactly 4 minutes per kilometer. So I feel like I'm moving well here, and I'm into the second half. And as I mentioned at the start of the video, last week I was aiming to be in zone 3 for the entire session, at least for the reps. And I actually ended up with just 14 minutes in zone 3, 13 minutes in zone 4, and then 10 minutes in zone 5. So a lot harder than what I expected. I'll give you the results for this session towards the end. And the great thing about this, actually training on the mountain, I love training on a treadmill as well, where everything's consistent. You've got access to your bottle, your nutrition's dialed in. There's something about these corners and weaves and turns, and as I mentioned just before, that tree cover from the sun. This is pretty cool for December in Chiang Mai, in the north of Chiang Mai, is cool anyway. December, January, you need a jacket when you're on the motorbike. It's that kind of cool at night. But this is above 30 degrees at city level, which is 300 meters. But as we're going up the mountain, it's getting cooler because we're getting higher, and it's a godsend when you're pushing yourself like this. I'm still pacing this. And this again is 6%, 402 per kilometer, and 167 beats. Such a great session, this. I love it. I'm already missing it. Can't wait to do the next session. And these sessions will vary. The rep length, of course, will vary the terrain which I'm doing them, and I'll try to
It's actually not that easy, but as I said before, there's only so many places in the world you could probably film this with a cameraman hanging off the back of a motorbike. But I'll try to film the entire session so that you're not getting these gaps, although trying to also make it viewer friendly, because I'm not sure if you want to be viewing the whole 60 minutes, including the recoveries. But as we do a shorter session, maybe something like 6 or 8 times a kilometer, maybe it's good to see the whole thing, and it's going to be interesting for some people. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below if you find that kind of stuff interesting. I do, but maybe it's for your hard. I love that person sort of like saying hey to the camera, and that's the sort of vibe to Chiang Mai and the whole of Thailand, really. Everyone's happy because the sun's out, sun's shining, and Thai people, even though that was a foreigner, Thai people are smiley, they're happy people, they have a good life. And this is just under 4 minutes per kilometer for this rep 13, and it's 5.6% gradient and 166 beats. So this is the thing about running up a mountain. You've not got that average gradient, as I said before, and so you've got to know when to push and when to hold off and when to relax as well. And that's something you get from practice of running up the mountain and knowing that, okay, this feels a bit steeper, and so either you've got to put in the effort or you've got to relax a bit. And I find the best way to do this, and if you take anything home from this session and this video, let it be this: the best thing about this kind of training is just training to effort rather than pace. Yeah, I'm trying to cover 500 meters, but I'm more bothered about being at the right effort level. It's got to be sustainable for the 20 times 2 minutes. And so if 4 minutes per kilometer pace isn't sustainable, then I've got to back off and I've got to make it. I know I can do 20 times 2 minutes in zone 4, but I've got to make it so it is sustainable, so I get to the end of that session. You get to the end of the session and you've done the 20 times 2 minutes, and it's not taking everything out of you, so you're elongating the recovery like this didn't, then you've got a decent amount of data there to look back on and think, okay, what went right, what went wrong, what can we improve for next time? This rep is 6% again and 358 per kilometer pace and 169 beats, so a little bit extra effort. I know rep 14 and then rep 15, that's 75% of the session done, and just 5 reps to go after the next one. Shoes are feeling great. It's so good to be in great shoes again. It's been a while, and yeah, these are just. Yeah, I loved the shoe back in 2018. I didn't understand when Nike brought out the Pegasus Turbo 2, which I tested again last week, versus the Pegasus Plus, as they are called now, or the Pegasus Turbo 3. And there's a massive difference in the fit, the way that they work, the way that they propel you forward. It's completely different. This is a great shoe. Isn't it annoying when your favorite company discontinues your favorite shoe, and you think, oh, I need to panic buy, I need to get a load of this in because I might never see it again? And I felt exactly the same with the next percent. And I know we've still got the Vaporfly in an upgraded model, but I don't think it's as good as the next percent.
ยังไม่ถึงไอ้หัวรูดาวเลยต้องถ้าถึงหัวรูดาวแล้วจะลงช่วงลงอาจจะเร็วพี่เป็นหายใจ
So this is a bit quicker. This is 5.6% gradient and 351 per kilometer for 168 beats average. And as you saw then, I'm just trying to get my breath back as much as you can. And this is, if you're struggling with a 60 seconds rest recovery, if you think about it, it should help you pace the session, because you know that your next rep is coming in less than 60 seconds, and therefore helps you judge the the pace of the previous rep. What I'm trying to do there is breathe out a lot and then breathe in through the nose and just refresh the body. A little bit of a downhill here, and this is probably the reason for the extra pace and the slightly lower heart rate, but it's exactly what you don't want, because you know you've still got to go uphill, and the session's purpose is about getting better at running up the hill. And that's the reason for repeating the session. You know, what I want is, in the next 6 to 8 weeks, I want to see me back where I was not so long ago when I was running the KOM for this segment, the complete segment in, I'll bring it up, but it's something like 40 minutes for the 11K or the 10.8K.
Be big. Bye.
So good to be back on the mountain. Yeah. Even if it's this much traffic. So good.
10 วิไปบอกว่าตรงนี้มันยาก ก่อนถึงวิว2เนี่ยชันจัดเลย
Yes, there was a SOTEP race. I think there still is a SOTEP race, which is 10.3 kilometers. So it doesn't finish exactly at the top, and it starts from the zoo. And I won that race in 43 minutes. So an average pace of less than or around about 4 minutes per kilometer for the entire race. 10.7k, sorry, for 43 minutes and 4 minutes per kilometer. Average massive relative effort on Strava of 195. And yeah, I remember it being incredibly humid, because it was early in the morning, it was still dark, and then the sun came up as we got to the top, and it's a brilliant race. It's a brilliant mountain to be on. But not so long before that, there was a KOM attempt where I had a friend, Marcus, supporting on the bicycle, and I did the same for him the week after, and we went for that, and that was the full segment.
หมายถึงว่าเข้ากลางโทษทีพูดผิดเกียร์กูนั่งกลับหลังอยู่ตกใจ
So the full segment is 11.58 kilometers, and I did that in 45 minutes and 5 seconds, an average pace of 3 minutes and 53 seconds. That's where I need to get back to, and that's the reason for doing these sessions again. This is rep 17, 510 meters, 3 minutes 52 per kilometer, and this is 6.4%. So it's a funny one, this 174 beats. So I'm working hard, but there's quite a little bit of downhill, and then a little bit of flat, and then a steep. This is quite steep where I am, although it doesn't look it on video. You start to work here, and then as it ramps up towards the temple, you'll see in a second it gets, or within the next 2-3 reps, it gets really steep. I'm working hard here. It's only really the last 4 or 5 reps when I'm going above 175 beats, so into zone 5 for me.
เดียวซ้ายน้อยเดียวโอเคพี่ว่าถึงเดียว3ถ้าถึงนี่แล้วมันเหลือแค่
This is pretty flat and pretty quick.
นี่ยังไม่หมดเลยเด็กอีก10 วิ
There's a sign just around here, which is a little bit further down, which is a kilometre to go. I've run this mountain so many times that I know every little piece of it, and you know that kind of stuff makes perfect training ground because you know where you're at, and as I said before, it keeps you honest. You know how fit you are, you know how far you get in each rep, but also for the entire segment.
Seconds.
15 วิไป
This is rep 18, 7%, 349 per kilometre, and 520 meters for the rep of 2 minutes, and 176 beats per minute average. So again, working hard, but now you're, okay, 18, 19, 20 reps, 2-minute reps, 6 minutes to go of hard work, and you can see or feel the finish line, and so you know how much energy you've got left. You don't want to change the session in any way, you know, going into zone 6 or zone 7. You don't want to put too much in just to get yourself to the finish line. This is when the body is starting to feel the fatigue, and so this is the most likely part of the session to get injured. But it's brilliant to get to this point knowing that so far you've executed, and if you can just do another 3 reps, then you're in a great place, and the body will recover very well because you've not been pushing so hard, and then you can go again in 3 or 4 days time, whether that's your long run or your interval session, if this is a specific long run.
เร่งหน่อย ขึ้นหน่อย
So we're coming up towards the end of rep 18, and I'm coming up to the point where I finished the 20 times 2 minutes last week, exactly 7 days ago. So again, no improvement in fitness,
5 วิพักเร่งไป
but more intent and more respect for the mountain and the session.
That's it,
same 2 more
two more. Up and go. So this is exactly 2 reps to go, 30 seconds rest, and then 2 times 2 minutes, final 2 reps, and we're in exactly the same place that we finished. That's 5% improvement in 1 week. It's not a fitness improvement, as I said before, but it's good to see. 10 seconds.
And here you get to see how steep it becomes. So the last 2 reps, the pace drops. This rep is 429 per kilometer average. Gradient is 9%. Feels way more because it really, after that curve, it really starts to get steep. And you'll see my form change a little bit as I'm leaning forward, which is still trying to keep the form good. You shouldn't lean forward too much, but I feel like I'm attacking the hill, and yeah, it's an improvement area. And then there's a lot of traffic coming down from the temple, which is less than 500 meters away. Those red taxis are called song towers, so you can either hire the whole thing or get on it, and for 12 baht or something like that, about 20 cents, take you anywhere. But this is steep going around this corner, and when you see that in land, that's landslides from the floods that were happening just 2 months ago when the whole of Chiang Mai was flooded. Big disaster areas, but a lot of rain, and monsoon season is exactly the same, and it's something you've always got to watch out for. When you're in this tropical climate, you just don't know. You can have a great sunny day, you see some black clouds, and then all of a sudden you're just stuck in the middle of nowhere for hours on end under a garage or some shelter. And this is coming towards the finish line of the segment, which is towards the temple, and then there's a bunch of smoothie, and they're selling everything touristy on the left hand side, but my smoothie bar is my favorite. So I would just run up to here as a session in zone 3, zone 4, zone 5, whatever, split it up on my own with my own water bottle, and then have a smoothie and get a taxi back, or get a song tower back for 20-40 baht. I think it's 40 baht from here to the university, and then walk the rest of the way, and that would be like the perfect training day. What I'm doing now this is the rep 20, and this is 4:33 per kilometer. So a lot slower, 10% slower than what I have been doing, but again, it's 7.5% and 173 beats. So I've slightly calmed down on this because I just want to execute the session. But this part from where we've just been, Doi Satep Temple, to the palace. So Buping Palace is 4 or 5 kilometers away, and the average gradient goes up here, but it's much quieter because most people are going to see the temple. So this is a great place to train, just up here. A lot of people stop at Doi Satep and turn around on the bicycles or runners, but this is where it's really at, and it gets what it looks a lot like is I think it's Empire Strikes Back when they're in the forest. It very much reminds me of that. If you see from time to time, my right arm will drop, a lot like boxing. Like when a fighter gets tired, you see the arms drop, and that's when they're in trouble because the face is exposed. It's not so dissimilar in running. If you're driving your arms, even at this gradient, the rest of your body will follow, and so your legs, your pickup on your knee should be in turn if your arms are driving forward and you're bringing your hand up high enough. So big improvement. When I see these last few reps and my form is starting to suffer, that's the improvement area. So done, 20 times 2 minutes, and then I'll always calculate this 60 seconds and see what my heart rate comes down to.
That's tough. เบาเครื่องปิดเครื่องดับเครื่องแป๊บ
Still at 170 after 22 seconds, 25 seconds. So in 20 times 2 minutes we get 10.8k, which includes the walking in between the rest. Is a bit slowing down, stopping, but it gets us almost a kilometer further than last week, which is looks like 10%, but it's probably more like 5. But super happy with that. It's incredible how an interval session will keep you honest, but even better than that, it will give you a reason why for everything else you're doing. The recovery runs, why are they so easy? It feels boring, it feels frustrating. Easy run, bridge from the recovery to the interval day or the long run day. Why are you having a complete rest day? It makes sense when you do a session like this. And then why are you in the weight room? I'm a runner. Again, makes sense when you're doing something like this, especially when it's fast or it's hilly. You can feel on every single step the reason why you're in the weight room. So important.
Okay, so this is the first week. So 20 times 2 minutes up the hill, and you can see the gradient there, and 9.95k. So it's recorded the moving time as the total time as the session on this week. So 20 times 2 minutes, 40 minutes, plus the 20 minutes or the 20 times 1 minute rest in between. Whereas the second week, it's just recorded the actual moving time, which is 46 minutes, which is a lot more accurate. But we've got more than 800 meters up the hill, which is a really good sign. Relative effort is slightly higher. Previous week is 63. This week was 76. Conditions pretty much the same. It's actually a bit hotter this week. Average temperature of 26. But if we look at the heart rate, we can see this is the first week, and I've basically not executed the warm up well enough. So the first 4 reps, not until the 5th rep am I actually up into the effort that I want to hold throughout the rest. So I've tried to be in zone 3, and it's just not happening for the pace that I want to be running, for the natural stride length I want to be in. And so it's really all started from rep 5, which is not good. I've got those 4 reps for free, and then it starts. And if you look at the second week, just much more intense. Straight from the first rep, I'm up there above 170 beats. I realized that I'm going to be in zone 4 for the majority of this session, and even into the zone 5. And as the session's going along, I'm even seeing 180 beats, and I think he got up to 188 or 189, as we can see there. So it's just a much better session overall. Nice mountains, heart rate's coming down, not to where I'd like it to be. 135 is perfect. It comes down even lower, I think, 132. But as we get during the session, it's coming down to just under 150 beats. So that's the improvement level. So if you're looking at the sessions like that, that's a good way to look at it. You're not going to improve fitness-wise within 7 days, but there'll be a new respect for the session if you do an identical session week on, week off, which is 20 times 2 minutes in this situation with 60 seconds rest in between. If you want to see more videos like this and you like the breakdown of the video and the analysis, then let me know in the comments below.